I started training in karate over 30 years ago, and I never stopped. Today I'm going to tell you how and why I started my martial arts journey. Hi everyone, I'm the Old Man Kicking. I went to my first karate class in June of 1994. I was 19 years old and I just finished my sophomore year of college and I was home for the summer. I showed up to my first class in shorts and a t-shirt. I didn't yet have a gi to wear, and I'd not even learned how to tie my karate white belt. I was nervous and excited to start my martial arts experience, and at the time I had no idea how fulfilling and long-lasting that experience would be. I had always been fascinated by the martial arts. I had seen Enter the Dragon several times, and I was amazed by Bruce Lee's speed and athleticism. I had seen several Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, and I wore out my VHS tapes of Bloodsport and Kickboxer. I am still amazed and inspired by Jean-Claude's spinning kicks, and you can see his influence on my training in many of my kicking videos. But I'd never really had the time, the money, or the opportunity to train in the martial arts. What brought me to the martial arts was actually an injury. I was an athlete. I ran track and played football in high school and then at a small Division III college. In track, I primarily ran hurdles and sprints, but I also competed in a number of field events. In football, I was a running back in high school and a wide receiver in college. Now, I was no stranger to injury. I had had a serious knee injury in high school football game that got me a ride in an ambulance. I broke my ankle pole vaulting, I had shoulder stingers, I had at least 2 concussions, and I strained or sprained just about everything that you can strain or sprain. But in my sophomore year of college, I tore my right hamstring at an indoor track practice. I initially tried to run through it, but the pain was too much, and my coaches and trainers shut me down for the rest of the year. It was later diagnosed as a 50% tear after a long and uncomfortable stint in an MRI. I started a long rehab process to heal and then rebuild my hamstring strength and flexibility. In talking with my mom on our weekly Sunday night phone call, she asked me if I wanted to start karate to help with my rehab. She told me she worked with a guy that taught karate at a local fitness center, and she told him about my injury. She said he thought training with him would help me get my strength and flexibility back and also improve my coordination as my leg healed. I talked to my coaches and trainers, and they loved the idea. So for $20 a month, I started my karate journey over the summer of 1994. In my first class, I felt out of place. The group of karate students was small, but each of them was excellent. Their techniques were crisp, and they snapped their gis with their reverse punches and roundhouse kicks. I didn't know that I was supposed to bow when I walked into the racquetball court that served as our dojo. I didn't know how to stand at attention. I didn't know how to count in Japanese. And as I mentioned earlier, not only did I not have a uniform, but even when I got one, I didn't know how to put it on. It had a bunch of ties I didn't understand. But the karate students welcomed me. Each student introduced themselves to me and shook my hand. And Sensei Mike, who was a superhero, as I explained in an earlier video that I'll link in this description, he was enthusiastic and patient with me. Everyone let me know that I could progress at my own pace. They let me know it was better to learn the technique slowly and correctly than to throw too fast and too hard without control. They explained that doing so would potentially result in injuries, potentially aggravating the hamstring injury I already had, or even cause me to hurt something different. They also explained that throwing fast and hard without control would delay my progress in learning the techniques. I took my training seriously. I started low and slow, which has become a huge part of my training philosophy to this day. I worked my basic techniques every day. I first learned them in class, and then I refined them in solo training sessions at home. I still work my basic techniques as the foundation of my training almost every day, continuing those habits that I developed in that first summer of karate. As the summer progressed, I learned to block. I learned to punch. I learned to kick. I learned some basic katas. I learned to spar. But I also learned a lot about myself and my ability to overcome obstacles and to succeed at unfamiliar and difficult things. These are some of the lessons that martial arts teach us. As my hamstring healed and became stronger, more flexible, and more resilient, so did I. I have now practiced martial arts for more than 30 years, and much of my philosophy about my current martial arts training was inspired by my experiences with some wonderful martial artists and an excellent sensei in that summer when I went to a karate class on a racquetball court, really only expecting that karate would help me heal up before the upcoming football season. What I received was so much more than physical recovery. It was an introduction to an experience that continues to benefit my physical, my emotional, and my psychological health and well-being, and to help me maintain a more optimistic and resilient perspective on life and its challenges. Training in the martial arts has so many benefits in so many areas of our physical, emotional, and cognitive lives. And these benefits become more and more important as we get older. I didn't know that when I first started karate, but I've come to understand that now. I started karate 30 years ago because I tore my hamstring. Now martial arts are an important part of my life, and I will never stop training. In the comments, I would love to hear how you get started in the martial arts. And if you have not yet started training in the martial arts, let me know if you have any questions about how to get started. Also, let me know what other videos you'd like me to make. Make sure to hit subscribe, kick that like button, check out my other videos, and keep kicking.